Well, welcome back. And we got a Ford F150 2012 with the 3.5 liter V6 EcoBoost, I think they're called, something like that. And today, surprisingly, we're not working on engine, timing, anything like that. We're actually working on the interior. So customer brought it in, he went to install an aftermarket radio, and I guess he didn't do it all correctly. The issue that he's having is that the speakers keep dropping out, which probably he didn't crimp the wires correctly, or maybe he just twisted them together. It happens. And then when he installed it, he realized that he doesn't have steering wheel controls. Now, with any aftermarket radio, you have to install some type of device or module. So we have this one. It's steering wheel control interface for aftermarket radio installation. It's the SWI-RC-1 universal interface. So we're gonna have to pop open the dash, pull out the wiring, set the dip switches on that, and then just kind of migrate it all together. So let's jump inside and let's get started. So he bought this Jensen one. Actually, I think he bought this like a year ago and he just never got around to it. And I do a lot of computer work for him. And in conversation, I was telling him about the auto stuff I do and my garage. And he said, hey, would you be willing to do this for me? I was like, absolutely. So first things first, let's pop that open. I think there's screws. Nope, 7mm. So before we dive into that, we're also gonna pop in this one in the bottom. I think this one snaps in. Does this come out? Yep, no smoking. Man, this thing doesn't want to come out. What in the world? There we go. I think the USB thing popped out. We'll have to try to fix that for him. I don't know if the factory one gets wired in or whatnot. We'll have to learn. Oh, made it easier. We're missing a screw. Great. Let's see, are you a 7? Yes. Ford gives you a convenient tray, you know, to place your screws when you have to take apart the dash and stuff like that. So, you know, that's nice. And if I remember correctly, you get to pop that open like that. Doesn't come all the way, just gotta, there we go. Same thing over here. I think that's pretty much it. And then this should pop out like so. There's a switch back here for this stuff. All right. And we have our prize. Ah, great, flat. Maybe that's a 7. That'd be nice. So I don't have to run to the bench again. Nope, definitely not a 7. Do it the old-fashioned way. Oh, I dropped that. Never see it again. Caught it. These look like some household screws. Pretty sure that's not factory. Now release. Woo, we got a lot of wires here. It's kind of This one is for the GPS, I think. This one goes here. XM, the antenna, and camera. Now we need to unplug this. And oh boy. I really don't want to work on this while it's attached to the vehicle. Let's put you there. So we got two red wires, a red and a green, and we need to mark those. This is where zip ties come in handy if you have multiple colors. We're just going to do that. And do the same thing over here. We'll mark this one white. And we'll cut it here. And we'll cut it here. And now I have my reference, so the black will go to the black, the white will go to the white. Don't have to worry about mixing this up and setting the truck on fire. That's bad for business. So let's get to the bench, let's get to the adapter, and see if we can put this thing together. Let's open this thing up. All right, we got wires, we got the adapter. So first thing we got to do is we got to set these dip switches. So if you go to their website, PAC or PAC, however you say it, you type in the year, make a model, and it tells you. So up, and I'm looking at my computer screen up there, up, down, down, up. And then over here, it's supposed to be down, 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 up. All right, done. Now, let's look at wiring. Let's cut off these wire ties. Get an idea. Look like that came out, so that could be one of his radio issues as far as speakers. So we'll fix that. I have to do some more research, so let me read and we'll come back. It's been a couple hours later and I actually figured this out. So first things first is company PAC. Their instructions could be a little bit better. I guess I understand that you have to generalize things because you use it for different applications, but still. So if you go in and you type in your vehicle and all that type of stuff on their website, this is what they give you based upon your vehicle. So set the dip switches accordingly, which this is for the 2012 Ford F150. Then they give you this, which makes no sense, but I kind of get it after kind of looking into it. So if you notice it says black ground to black, blue, 13, all that stuff. This is the connector that's on the wiring harness for the vehicle, not the one that you put in so you could adapt it to the aftermarket radio. So you'd have to match that up, which obviously the black and the ground is going to be black on the aftermarket wiring harness. And if you flip over the factory one, you'll see that it matches up. That would be the black. And then the yellow battery, which is gray and red, according to this, that's actually going to be the yellow. And I'll show you when we get back onto the vehicle. And the same thing, which they give this to you again for some reason twice, I have no idea. So the pink one is where it gets fun. So the pink is the data one, and that has to go into the violet orange, which is in the second connector on the factory wiring harness, which kind of stumped me because I don't have that plugged into anything for the radio. So what I actually had to do was take that connector, I just shoved the wire in there, and I'll actually cut it and all that type of stuff, and that's what gives you the signal. If you don't have this signal, then it's not going to work. Then over here, obviously we're going to have the SWC output to the radio, which is the regular 3.5mm jack, and then the red and the white wire is going to go into the power one. So it took me a while to kind of understand that and figure that out. Mostly what stumped me was this pink wire over here, but after kind of going over with it and just double checking, because in this type of situation you want to make sure that you don't apply voltage to something that you not supposed to, because then you end up with a big issue. So let's get back on the truck and let me show you how this is going to work, and then I'll clean it up and show you the finished product. So I guess the best way to start with this thing is for the Ford F-150, and I guess it works for different vehicles, but now that I understand it, I think I would know how to do it on other vehicles. But the only thing you'll need on this harness, so there's two harnesses that goes plugged into this box. There's one that has the 3.5mm, which is this. This is the only thing you need on that harness. That is it. You plug this in. All the other wires, which I forget what the colors are. Oh, they're right here. The brown, black, blue, whatever. You don't need it for a 2012 Ford F-150. Now, over here is where you need all the other fancy wires. So on this one, and all my stuff is, you know, loosely put together because I don't want to solder or put anything where it's supposed to be until I'm done with it. There it is. So it's kind of tucked in over here, but this is the wiring harness that comes out, and you have a bunch of wires. Only focus on the one that it tells you that you need. So obviously we need the two blacks with which are the grounds, which I just pigtailed them together over here. The yellow, which is the battery 12 volt, I pigged that with the yellow, and that matches up. And then for this one, you need a red and white, which goes into the power, which is somewhere around here, which is right over here, which goes into the power. So red from the radio goes into the power, which on this truck you actually have to tap into the power on something on that side. So that goes into the power. So the red and the white goes into the powers. And then the pink cable, which is the important one, which this does not work without it, goes right over here. So I just kind of stuffed it in to the connector over here. So I guess this adapter or this model of wiring harness that he had doesn't come with anything for it. So you have no way to really plug it in. So I just kind of shoved it in right over there on pin 16, just to prove proof of concept. And I just kind of twisted it together right over here. And now, and this radio is slow and just horrible, but I guess it is what it is. Now let's hit the media button. Well, you gotta push the button in good. Could be the buttons. So the way I gather is you just give it a good click and just wait a second. Let's see, give it a good click. Yeah, that works a lot better. All right, so that's how it works. So the plan is just to kind of take off the tape on that, tap into that wire. I don't want to mess with the factory wiring harness, and then we'll have our signal. So the pink wire goes to pin 16 on this, black to black, yellow to yellow, and then the power just to regular power. So a couple hours just to figure out that and understand it, but let me put this thing back together and I'll show you how it looks. Well, I wanted to show how I had everything set up and wired, but unfortunately the GoPro just didn't record after I put it back. I went to go review the footage just to double check some things, and well, I didn't record. Gotta love the GoPro. But in a nutshell, it's wired up, it's put back together. Seems to work pretty good. I think there's something going on with these buttons, because when I hit this, sometimes it hits that. But either way, there is a slight delay when you're switching between the sources. So, I mean, not terrible. It works, and that's what he wanted. I'll double check, make sure his reverse cam works, which it does. All his speakers are working, which one of them, the wire was broken. The speaker over here is not working, so I'll have to let him know so he can fix that. And the only other thing that we're missing is the microphone for the wireless calling feature. He didn't bring it, and he said he'll reach out to me for another day. So putting this thing together with those controls is easy, but I guess instructions could be a little more clear. And there's not a lot of information on the interweb about that. But in a nutshell, you have to translate the harness from the factory to the aftermarket, but on that adapter, and this is the SWI-RC-1, you're going to need all the black wires on that harness to go to the negatives, which is the black wires on it, and then the yellow to the yellow, red to the red, and then that pink, you have to jumper it into that harness like I talked about earlier. So everything works. He should be good to go. Maybe he'll come back and we'll install another speaker and install the microphone. But hope this video helps. Thanks for watching, and let's go fix something else.